You don't have a reference for normies? Sure. But you know, as I participate more and more in this space, do you know what I see as I participate more in this space? Not even normies know how normies react. Not even normies know how normies react, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I know how normies react, okay? And I haven't seen a normie since 2014, okay? Anyway.
Like I know like I'll grant that I see this, right? That there's this knee-jerk instinct, but I already said, and I think that you're unwilling to grant that liberals do this.
Wait, hold on. No, I actually disagree. I think normies are bloodthirsty. I think normies are bloodthirsty. I think they're bloodthirsty. One of the biggest misconceptions that I see is that people think moderates and normies are not radicals, okay? And they don't appreciate radical language or they don't appreciate shit. Well, I ask you one question. How did Trump win? Twice. How did Trump win after January 6th? You're saying that normies are turned away from Trump's shit, but we're no longer talking about that, are we? Normies should have turned away from January 6th, and because of January 6th, they should have voted, all of them should have voted against Trump. Wait a second. I think our prior perceptions of what a normie is destroyed. Okay? I think what a normie actually is a radical, bloodthirsty monster. Okay? I think they love edgy language. I think that they love it when people do edgy shit all the time. And they love it when people are tit for tat. And they love it when revenge is taken. Okay? I think that's what normies are. Okay? I refuse to accept the image that normies are these normal, table issue motherfuckers. I think normies, all the normies I ever met before, okay, all right, when I was delivering mail, okay, they are some of the most edgiest motherfuckers, all right, imaginable on planet Earth, okay? And trust me, I have met more normies during that period than anyone has ever met, okay? They are blue-collar edgelords, okay? They are blue-collar edgelords, and screw you for pretending otherwise, okay? They're blue-collar edgelords who love blood, okay? They love blood. That's why they love watching drama shows. They love watching, like, fucking crazy drama shit. They love participating in workplace drama. They are drama lords, okay? And every drama lord knows revenge is gold. They appreciate a tale of revenge. Otherwise, why was Taken a normie movie so popular? Why is revenge so glorified in American culture? Why is John Wick such a popular movie? Avenging a dog by killing a bunch of people? Normies love that shit. Normies love John Wick. Revenge. Revenge. The average normie is a radical. And you would do well to remember that, lest we lose the next election. Understand? Okay, sorry. Continuing.
And Republicans obviously do it. Like, everybody does this. It's to varying degrees. I think that you're hyperfixating on the left's tendency to do it when I'm not interested in hyperfixating on them because I don't think it's endemic or only specific to them. I think after every single loss, everybody's licking their wounds. Everybody's blaming other people left and right. After Hillary lost, everyone was like, this country's too fucking racist and they're too sexist to let a woman become the president. This is bullshit. Voters let her down. I saw the same thing with Kamala Harris lost, right? Like, it's just not unique to the left. It does happen, but I think the analysis does come. But if the type of discourse that you want, this like where are they getting granular and talking about the failures of Black voters in general? How much of the discourse online is that like nuanced and data driven? It's just not. Overall, I'd love to see that happen, but it doesn't, and I don't.
I'm sorry. That was my Tourette's. Okay.
Don't single out the left for not doing it.
I mean, I would surely dispute the notion that there wasn't widespread, very frequent analyses of Kamala's failed run in 2024 that was not blaming like external forces. I just saw so many, like dozens of critiques I mean, it was all like Piers Morgan was talking about on for like all of those
Because she lost a presidential election as opposed to Bernie. He didn't lose a presidential election. He lost a primary. So of course the conversation's just not going to be as big. Like there's obviously going to be, Hutch, you look bewildered. It's a really simple point. There is obviously going to be more discourse generated surrounding a Democratic candidate losing in a general than there will be from a specific progressive candidate losing in a primary.
I'm not talking about the total amount of discourse. I'm talking about like the percentage of the discourse that was focused on her shortcomings and Biden's shortcomings was overwhelming. And so I'm using that to push back against this idea.
Like, or like, who are you thinking of other than Ezra Klein? You can't name Ezra Klein.
No, Pod Save America, certainly like CNN panels. Like
what did Pod Save say?
Pod Save jumped into her shortcomings like right away. They weren't blaming. I don't know. I would have to take a look back, but I'm just saying like everybody was talking.
Were the criticisms external, or were they internal criticisms of like how she ran the campaign?
No.
Yo, Caleb, welcome to tier 3, buddy. I'm actually surprised that you subbed now, like right now, considering how much we disagree. But I just want to say real quick, okay? Holy fuck! 5 gifted memberships. Okay, never mind. I'm a guy. Thank you. I'm a guy.
What? Fuck.
Yo, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. By the way, if you guys have to donate money, the better way of donating money is through Kick, okay? Because who knows how long my YouTube will run, okay? Who the fuck knows, all right? Who knows? Who knows? All right, if you really want to give me money. But I still appreciate it, of course. But thank you. Also, I get a bigger cut on Kick. They
were critical of her campaign like while it was happening. Like they were not shy about pointing to, I mean, they were certainly critical of like Biden, for example. They weren't blaming his like drop in support.
Isn't that not an external thing?
Oh yeah, by the way, I want people to think about this. If it's true, wouldn't it look better if you were like going really hard against a communist to a normie? Like, couldn't I use your logic against you? Like, couldn't I lose your logic against you? Because if we're really going to be caring about optics, wouldn't Hutch look way better going hard against a communist? Normies fucking hate communists. They're terrified of them. Why you would look good going hard against the communists, and that's the truth. All right? So I don't want to hear it, okay? Thank you.
Biden? What do you mean?
If you say that Kamala lost because Biden, that's an external factor.
Your logic is not logicking.
We're talking, when we're talking about like an external factor, I'm thinking of like things outside of the campaign or the administration. Like her inheriting a lot of Biden's baggage, them identifying that is not the same thing as like Bernie or whoever blaming like AIPAC.
Has Bernie blamed AIPAC?
No, I'm talking about like Bernie supporters.
Oh, supporters or whatever.
Why not debate, Aaron? Because it wouldn't be a debate. It would just be me screaming at her. Look, I'm just saying the weight room is always open.
I do view that as external because if you're going to say ultimately she lost because Biden, what you're saying is that it was an unwinnable race for her, and that the failure started all the way back when Biden they decided not to have a primary and Biden decided to run again. Because then at that point, if it's mostly put on him, you're saying there's nothing she could have done in the 107 days that she had that could have made her win in the general.
Well, I'm not saying that. I've not heard anybody else say that. Like I have not heard a single person say like there's nothing that she could have done better.
But you think Biden's mostly to blame?
Yeah, probably. Don't you?
And just like Josiah thinks he's mostly to blame. I think he's mostly to blame, but that's an external thing.
Okay. Well, I don't know. That feels pretty internal.
But I don't think. How? It's not. That's not her.
Because she essentially inherited his campaign, so she just like picked up where he left off. So we're still talking about.
I see that you're like to me. This just seems like picking and choosing what external factors are valid to bring into the criticism versus the ones that you don't think are valid to bring in.
It's still a critique
because then you're saying
of the party
you
leadership,
can't bring
though.
in like AIPAC or like the influence of donor money, but you can't bring in Biden.
No, but it's still a critique of the leadership within the party. Is the point?
That's still external. You think that people that cope about Bernie aren't criticizing the leadership?
Wait, no, but this is like a different. Their criticism of the leadership is that the leadership they think is like intentionally boxing him out.
Sorry.
The critique of the leadership in this spot was that the leader of the party selfishly stayed in the race when it was obvious
that's what I'm saying. You're picking and choosing which. It's still fundamentally a criticism of the leadership, and you're just saying this one's more valid than that one. I'm not comparing which one's more reasonable. I'm saying it's still an external thing, and it's still you're still discharging blame from the candidate to something else outside of their control.
I don't see. So you're saying that people saying that she inherited Biden's baggage is the same kind of deflective analysis that we hear from, Katie Porter saying that, like it was rigged. She lost because it was like rigged. Like, you think these things are like the same thing? Did Katie
Porter say that Kamala lost because it was rigged?
No, Katie Porter said that she lost against Schiff because it was rigged. She called it rigged in California.
Okay, no, I don't think it's exactly the same. I'm not comparing the severity. I'm saying no, you're not. You're saying that they wanted to, like you said at the beginning of this line of questioning, you're like, let's talk about, let's do some reflection on why progressives lose. And it cannot be pointing to external factors like donors or APAC or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Right? That's where we started. Okay,
no.
Now.
What in the hentai? Yes, what? What's up?
I just wanted to say DGDL. That's it.
Range. Okay.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Okay, you're weird.
I'm only saying,
it can be whatever you want it to
I'm not saying that they're the same thing. I'm saying that fundamentally, at its essence, though, you are still discharging responsibility from the campaign, from the candidate to something else. And you're doing it to Dem leadership. You're saying Joe Biden. You're saying it's unfair because she's inheriting this. You're just saying I have better reasons to discharge responsibility from Kamala Harris than Bernie supporters do to discharge it from him.
She inherited a campaign. Like, it's a totally. I don't understand how we're treating these things as being similarly deflective.
I'm not.
That's what you are doing.
Ultimately, it's an like external.
If he passes the baton to her, you could look at it as like one campaign, right? Like Biden was campaigning for whatever, like a year, and then she was the one that campaigned for like the last like 3 months. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to analyze that. And I think your criticism or whatever point you're trying to make would have more weight to it if I never made any attempt to unpack the individual's mistakes that I think she made, which I did like right away. There was no instinct for me to try to like shield myself from confronting like her shortcomings.
You're built different. You know about the Green Lantern theory, and you know about the data, and that's good. And I want people to have data-driven conversations and reflection, like postmortems on these things. Okay, I'm saying that's Hutch. If you did that, that's awesome. That's great. I want that. No, well, we agree with the prescription. I don't know that we agree with the diagnosis.
Well, I don't know what we're diagnosing. What do you mean?
Because you're saying you need me to validate your feelings on that, like the online left, like the Kyle Kulinski, that Hassan, the Majority Report. Don't give me that face, Hutch. You know exactly what you want me to validate. Do you think that there's an entire media ecosystem that exists to coddle progressive candidates when they lose, and that they don't engage in self-reflection, unlike the liberals and the Democrats that are willing to be self-critical? And I'm saying, no, I'm not going to validate that, because I see those issues with Dems, or with the left, but I see them with Democrats as well, and I see them with Republicans, and I'm not going to single them out.
They position themselves as like the outsiders that are speaking truth to power, that would deliver, transformative legislation by, going out there and educating the masses, were it not for the establishment shills who are basically 99% Republicans and the corporate donors and APAC who are preventing them from winning. That's the overwhelming kind of sentiment that we hear from progressives and have heard for years now. And until that changes, I don't really expect they're going to turn things around and have more success. Why would I believe that if there's no kind of tendency to, ask like difficult questions like, why are we struggling more with like black voters? Is there something that we can do differently to improve those numbers? I mean, that is like,
they need to do that so they can win, but like it's like money is not always the answer, in the same way that, again, Harris had no shortage of money and she still blew it. Like that like criticism and internal self-reflection. I just thought of a great example, though. Hold on, let me pull it up and I'll send it to you. And I want you to read the comments on this.
I mean, Trump and Mamdani are examples to point to in terms of saying like, look, you can beat the money if you run a savvy enough campaign. And so I just wish there was more focus on that and less focus on, well, it's not our fault because Nancy Pelosi is the reason why we're losing elections or whatever.
Okay, pull this up. I just DM'd it to you on Discord. It's a conversation that David Pakman had 3 weeks ago. Bombshell claim. Give me a second.
Trump did not win 2024 election.
Trump did not win 2024 election manipulated. And then the summary. Nathan Taylor, Executive Director of Public Engagement for Election Truth Alliance, joins us to discuss discrepancies in the 2024 election, how to bolster election integrity. And he doesn't say, like, the title's a little bit clickbait, right? Saying that, like, oh, we know, or like,
I think it was super
that like Trump didn't actually.
I think I watched this, by the way.
I watched this. It's a good conversation. He talks about they did like a statistical analysis showing election irregularities that show that there actually may have been some sort of interference that's worth investigating. He doesn't have enough evidence to say definitively, oh, Harris lost because of this, or it was rigged for Trump, or anything like that. But he was saying you were seeing the same sorts of abnormalities in this particular election that you see in other elections that we know there was interference, like in Putin's Russia or like in Uganda.
I think
and when you look at the comments,
back, right? I'm pretty sure Pakman pushed back against this idea of like rigging. Like I could be
Burger
wrong, but I'm pretty
King-
sure I watched this video and Pac-Man
Oh,
was
the
saying,
guy never makes a
one.
claim
okay,
that it's rigged for sure. He just says it's the basis to do an investigation because these election irregularities are concerning.
right. And you're
Which
saying
I'm totally fine with them looking into. But if you look at the comments on this, right? If you look at the comments, again, this is a huge liberal channel. One, this clickbait it is in and of itself talking like it's a straight up lie. That's not even what he says, right? But all of the comments, look, Trump publicly thanked Elon for fixing the voting machines in Pennsylvania. The minute Trump said, "You won't need to vote again," I knew there was a problem.
Wait, but I never, to be clear, I never made the point that you can't find examples of liberals or even prominent liberals that similarly are averse to purely internal critiques. I never made that claim. I said that the problem of this aversion to internal critique, I think, is much more widespread in progressive spaces because I think they have established a narrative over the years that they're getting rat fucked. That's like the overwhelm. I mean, you and me had a conversation last time we had a conversation, and you were making the case that Bernie got rat fucked in 2016 and 2020. You weren't talking about like his shortcomings with black voters. You were talking about like he got rat fucked. It wasn't fair. It was stolen from him. And I think that was the
You
product
asked me about
of,
that specifically, so I could talk to that. I spoke to that specifically. But if you asked me for a general postmortem, I obviously would have brought up that he didn't do enough. Like,
Well,
I
you
remember
didn't say
reading
that at the
articles
time,
in the
right?
New York Times saying that, like, okay, that's a different claim than saying I'm unwilling to have the conversation about it. I answered specific questions that you gave me surrounding his loss and these online narratives, which are like a little bit abstract and nebulous. And it's also stuff that happened like in 2016 and 2020. So like 5-10 years ago in some instances. So I'm shooting off the cuff. But if you ask me for an autopsy of why Sanders lost, I'm not just going to discharge it to the donors. And I don't think you should use our conversation as an example or like just, oh, the DNC has it rigged against him or whatever. Like, those are like some things I'm willing to talk about. But like, I would obviously do something that's comprehensive and talk about, yeah, he needed to do more outreach to Black community leaders. He probably should have gotten into churches more. There's like a lot of active Black voters that are highly religious. That could have been beneficial. And there could have been inroads there. MLK was like talked about socialism and being anti-poverty. And he was obviously religious. Like there are these ways that Bernie could have done more outreach to get more Black voters in the South. Right. And
okay.
potentially.
Boots should be happy with the Hutch saying rat fuck 3 times. No, I'm not happy. Almost 2 hours in, and I am only given a rat fuck. That's not enough.
Won. Like I'm willing to do all of that. I'm just saying that like it didn't come up or whatever because it's a very specific granular thing. And I didn't know that you were interested in Straighter Aid's autopsy of the Bernie Sanders primary from 2020 and 2016. But it would include that.
I'm a bit incredulous, to be frank, at the idea that you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the like progressive tendency in terms of like how these people talk about these primary losses and election losses just predominantly across the board. I'm a bit incredulous at the idea that you don't know what I'm talking about. Is this like
I've told you that I somewhat know what you're talking about. It's not to the extent that you're saying it, but I just said that like I'm conceding that to you. Are you willing to concede to me that it's not specific to the left, that liberals, Democrats, and Republicans all engage in this as well? Republicans the worst of all.
You can find some level of this, like anywhere you look in any kind of circle, but we're talking about the prevalence, like the prevalence of the dominance of that narrative from progressive circles, I think, exists in a way that you are not going to find in terms of like liberals. Like when liberals got when we had like a bad House cycle in 2020, there was a lot of like internal critique about like where the party was falling short and why we had lost seats in an election where we picked up seats in the Senate and won the presidency. And certainly in 2024, I've seen nothing but like a constant steady stream. I've seen some of this like nonsense with voter machine clickbait shit. Like I've seen some of that, but I've seen like volumes of analysis with 1,000 different opinions about how liberals and the Democratic Party has lost touch with voters without deflecting to blame to one thing or another. And I think that exists in a way that you just don't really see largely from progressive spaces. And I would like that to change.
But your main example is Kamala Harris, when we know that they literally cannot make the claim that she was fucked when it came to money because she just had a ton of money. So that already precludes the possibility of that being some cope that Kamala Harris supporters who are upset that she lost could even bring up.
Say, for example, like absent any kind of blame on like the woke left. I mean, I know that that's what Sam Harris made or whatever. But you saw plenty of examples in mainstream media and in alternative media, people talking. People wouldn't shut up about like the alternative media like absence. That was like the main thing they were talking about for like 2 months. That's a purely internal critique. Like her decision to not go on Joe Rogan drove entire news cycles. And I just, I feel like you just don't see that when it comes to progressive candidates when they lose.
Well, because again, if I made this claim that like liberal, all these liberal commentators, Pod Save America, Ezra Klein, all they end up doing, like David Pakman, I'll throw him in there.
I think it's a bit weird that Hutch is willing to talk to Base Straighter, but feels the need to disavow and not talk at all to someone much closer to his political project Destiny about Pixie stuff. I will say that Hutch is immensely soy. I think that is the biggest point you should take from this is that Hutch is of the most soyest nature, all right, to his own detriment. Okay? Hope that helps.
Or whatever, Brian Tyler Cohen, Adam Mockler or something. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to, like, Midas Touch, that they just mostly coped about her election loss. They said that she did the best that she could have done, that they have some criticisms around the edges, but for the most part, they say that that these voters were stupid, or they blame like third party voters and Gaza. They they have external reasons for saying, or they blame Biden, right? If I made this claim, would you ever just accept it?
I don't know when like people like Adam Mockler and Midas Touch blame Gaza. I didn't see that.
No, I'm saying that, like, okay, what you're laying out here is, you're like, there exists independent online left media like Crystal Ball and Hassan and Kyle Kalinske, Majority Report, that when Bernie loses and progressive candidates lose, and you ask them why, they just start to cope.
Yes.
They point to external factors. Let's say, let me invert it, and I say that same narrative, but I'm like, liberals do that when it comes to Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. Would you ever accept that?
Well, I never made the claim that you're never going to find that kind of external blame from liberals.
But overall.
But isn't that what we're talking about? I don't know. I wouldn't say overall it never happened.
Okay, I think I'm done. Does Hutch ever push back against straight rate, like in a way where he is finally on the attack? Like, I guess what I'm looking for is that the entire time, I just want to say the entire time, it's straight array that's attacking. She is the aggro. Like, even if you disagree, even if you disagree with me about my takes or whatever, I feel like you have to agree that someone who is constantly on the defensive is not a good thing, right? When it comes to, like, for example, my drama takes, right? Because I have said this before, that when it comes to drama, right, when it comes to responding to allegations, especially for Destiny, constantly being on the defense does not make you look good. And it doesn't just make you look good, it is bad. The reason why it's bad is because you never get to, you have a weaker position perpetually, right? No, I don't see a parry. I don't see a significant parry. I think that Hutch. Yeah, I'm sorry. And this is actually kind of surprising, considering how Hutch understands that lefties cannot be there's nothing you can do about this, I feel like, right? Because it's surprising, because Hutch goes after Hassan extremely hard, doesn't he? I don't know. Anyway.
Happens. You know, super majorities is just
Read this with Pisco on Just Press Play. To ingratiate themselves with
like everything.
Is it from you?
It's not for me. No, I didn't come up with it.
Oh, I thought you started it, maybe.
No, it's a here.
For Dems judicial battleground, why Dems must fight back. Like, I watched this and he was like,
dude, it's just soft all the way. It's just soft all the way. Me no likey. I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't like the always soft all the way. Like, I went all the way to the end. It doesn't increase in temperature whatsoever. I think I get the gist. Should we watch a little bit more? Should we watch a little bit more of the counterpoints debate before we conclude? Let's watch a little bit of the counterpoints debate, okay?